Well, I was looking for a prize for my new league, a belt or a ring or a nice trophy. My IDP guys went and had my back. The best swag online for champs is found on Trophy Smack. RING, that spells ring. TrophySmack.com has the bling. Good, so good, I have to sing. Go and check them out, they have everything. I can show that I'm the master of my craft. I'm a champion in fantasy and I won't let you forget that. RING, that spells ring. TrophySmack.com has the bling. Use promo code IDPGuys at checkout for a free ring on TrophySmack.com.
All right, welcome, boys and girls, to another episode of the IDP Plus podcast. I am Dynasty Stana, Steve Tomasin, and I'm joined tonight by an equally handsome co-host, Michael Sicoli, in for Matt Record, tagging in, one of the best tagging partners a guy could ask for. So, Mike, we're at week 11, man.
It feels it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But in terms of handsome stuff, I will say I had a mishap with the beard, with the razor, and that's why I got clean shaven right here. This is not the most handsome look that Michael Sicoli has ever had, but I appreciate the kind words regardless.
You know what? If anybody can pull off clean shaven, I think it's you. I used to have those nightmares, and trust me, nobody wants to see this face clean shaven. So you are doing better than most. You're doing better than most, my friend. All right, boys and girls. So we made it to week 11. Thank you for continuing to tune in here with us. We really appreciate it. For your thanks and rewards, we have a special promo code for you. So anyone that's been following along all year, maybe try and dip your toe in the water, need some help through the fantasy playoffs and finishing and all that, we've got a 30% off Black Friday deal using promo code SACSGIVING, SACKSGIVING. Pop that in there if you're wanting to sign up as a member over at idpguys.org, and that's our little thank you to everyone for tuning in here
for a year-long membership.
Yes, I believe that does get you the code for a year-long membership. So then you'll be stuck with us for the next season too. So hopefully that sounds good to everyone, and we're going to dive right in here. So we're going to start with last Thursday's game, the Bengals and the Ravens. It was kind of expecting more fantasy points here in this one, but obviously we lose Joe Burrow.
Yep.
The Ravens kind of, took care of business there. I mean, we had good offensive
running as much. The offense, both offenses drastically changed halfway through the game.
Yeah, exactly. So really not a ton of fantasy IDP meat on the bone. We had a good amount of sacks, which when I'm looking at it there, how many sacks is this? 8 sacks between both teams, but there wasn't a ton to go with it. You see Justin Madubuike, the breakout defensive tackle, gets a sack, but only one tackle to go along with that. So the floors were there thanks to the sacks. Odafe Owe, 3 solos to go with his sack. Trey Hendrickson 2 to go with his. So you'll take it, obviously, in most leagues. You want those sacks. But man, had they not gotten those sacks, this would have been even worse here. So yeah, like I said, kind of surprised that there wasn't more points to go around. We had decent enough games for the big names. Patrick Queen took the crown in this game as far as IDP scoring, which was a little surprising too, especially Roquan coming off his 21 tackles in week 10 there. So yeah, I don't know. The biggest thing I think that I'm noticing here is the rookie safety Jordan Battle. So I'm going to highlight him because what we're going to do this week, we're going to highlight names as we talk through the games and kind of revisit them at the end for your waiver wire free agent pickup. So that's the first guy I'm going to start with is rookie safety Jordan Battle. You see here, he was the second highest scorer and took 86% of the snaps this week. Now, normally it's Dax Hill who did okay, played 100%, but it looks like Nick Scott is finally now. I don't know if it was benched or injured. I'm not sure if you know that, but
I'm gonna double check right now.
Yeah, I feel like it was benched because he hasn't been playing that well.
It was
Just
benched. It was
yeah,
benched. He was healthy. He was active. He was just not on the field.
yeah, because I don't see him here at all. I don't know. He probably played some stats, but maybe didn't record any stats, so that's very possible. But yeah, it looks like Jordan Battle's taking over there. So if you're in need of safety or defensive back help, I think he's definitely someone to go after. A lot of us liked him in the dynasty community coming out. He just wasn't getting the playing time, but and Nick Scott should have been, raking in a lot more IDP stats with his playing time that he was getting. And
Yeah.
we see Jordan Battle in his very first opportunity at significant snaps, boom, second highest IDP score of the game there with 19 points. So I definitely think that's going to be, a top guy to be going after for waivers, and hopefully someone that could be a nice little surprise for down the fantasy playoffs. So, you got anything you want to touch on this game?
No, in this game, yeah. I listen, Justin Matabuke. I know he didn't have the tackles. He really hasn't had the tackles all year, but the sacks just keep coming. He has a sack in
You
every
love
single game since week 6. He's been
Mhm.
fantastic, and I'd argue that he's been the biggest reason that this defense is as good as it is, even bigger than Roquan and bigger than Kyle Hamilton. I truly
Mhm.
think Justin Matabuke is the engine that keeps this team going. So I love to see what he's doing. Kyle Van Noy keeps on getting it done on the sack column. If you listen, it just keeps on happening. It's akin to Justin Houston and what we've seen in past years of can we trust him? I don't know, but he keeps doing it.
Yeah.
Listen, it's streaky. We know what it is. This was a weird game. Yeah, Jake Browning coming in that obviously helped. Um,
Right.
yeah, I mean, you touched on it. Logan Wilson keeps on getting it done. He's the only other linebacker. Only 2 linebackers this year have played 100% of snaps in every single game.
Oh,
Logan
damn.
Wilson's one of them. So
Love
that's
that.
it's always good to see him pop up there. Mike Hilton, he has these games here and there. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
you hit on everything going on there. Jadeveon Clowney is having a really good season, but I still not just that interested.
Right. I mean, and Kyle Van Noy, 39% of the snaps. Man, especially this is MFL position designations. He's a freaking linebacker. Like that
Yeah,
stinks. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, unless you're super, super desperate or super gigantic league, these are tough. I mean, we see Tavius Robinson make an appearance after multiple weeks of doing nothing.
Yeah.
And he comes out of nowhere with a sack and 38% of snaps. So yeah, Odafe Owe, I'm going to highlight him as a potential pickup. I think people, only 57% this week. I'm pretty sure he hit the 60s last week, so I was encouraged about that. So not sure why the dip. Maybe just game script, and they
Yeah,
kind of had
57 isn't a crazy dip from where he was. I'll throw one other thing as well, or 2 things rather. Trey Hendrickson came into this game. A lot of people were surprised that he was even playing. It still looked like himself. So it was good to see Trey Hendrickson do what Trey Hendrickson has been doing all year, despite the injury. And Miles Murphy, disappointing. This was disappointing for Miles Murphy. We saw him take a big step up with Sam
good
Hubbard
call.
out the last week. Once
Yeah.
again, he was out again, but we saw, this week he's really splitting with Osai on the other side, and both really didn't get it done for fantasy purposes. So dynasty stash at best for both Miles Murphy and Joseph Osai, but it's nothing to it wasn't the step up that many were hoping for.
Yeah, Cam Sample was the other guy who played significant snaps, and nobody.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely put Miles Murphy in like a 53 man, like 16 teamer. Like hope I'm like finally he's gonna get some playing time, and yeah, he does absolutely nothing. Osai's another guy I really kind of liked, but yeah,
I did
they just
too. It's just not
they
it's not happening. Yeah.
yeah, very disappointing. Oh, Brandon Stevens with a clunker,
I
another
chalk
clunker.
that up to Joe Burrow getting hurt. And I also chalk up Jermaine Pratt. I thought Jermaine Pratt was going to have a huge day.
Yeah,
I chalked it up to Lamar stopped running in the second quarter, changed the whole offense. They were throwing quick screens the entire game. It just wasn't.
stinker.
This entire game didn't go how we thought it would. So
Cam Taylor Brick gets injured, so that's
yep.
why he's at 58%. We saw the Ravens, I think, running a lot of the 3 safety sets. because we see Geno Stone still played 66%
I love
with
Jalen.
Marcus Williams returning to 100% and had a really nice game actually with 2 defended passes. I'm a big Marcus Williams guy, so I'm glad to see him back up at the top of the scoring here and not, losing his job to a Geno Stone. But it looks like they're all seeing the field right now, so that's kind of an interesting
They're all good players. It's them
turn.
finding a way
Yeah.
to make them all work because Geno Stone has been excellent every time he fills in.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anybody else you think you want to highlight as far as an ad here, a waiver wire ad?
No, it's just a
Probably
weekly
not.
reminder that Ronald Darby is still somehow alive in the NFL and
Relevant.
actually performing with 3 PBs.
Well, yeah, Marlon Humphrey went down again.
No, I know, but it's always it's always funny when I see his name pop up.
Yeah, when he pops up, he's like a little gnat. He won't go away.
No, there he is. All right.
All righty. So that is going to take us to our next game. The Cowboys and the Panthers. Bear with me while I filter here, everyone on the YouTube. Well, hey, Micah Parsons. Listen, people were asking in the Discord, should I bench Micah Parsons? And listen, I took my victory lap last week. Okay, I took my victory lap with the 0 burger, saying I didn't know why he was a 1-on-1. But you know what? He threw it right back in my face and said, Steve, this is why I was a 1-on-1. 2.5 sacks, probably should have been 3. I don't know. We might see a stat correction there coming because I don't think who had the half with him. Yeah, Curse. I don't think he had much to do with that. If I go back and look at the tape, but yeah. So almost 3 sacks here for Parsons to go along with 6 total tackles, 3 QB hits. Just I was. We have to. Sometimes you have to talk people off the ledge, and this is IDP, right? Depending on game script and just how things go, like. Sometimes even the top stars of the league will come away and not record a set. He did play 68% of the snaps last week. He just didn't record a set. He's probably like, we're kicking the shit out of these guys. I'm going to, take my foot off the gas a little bit, which I know football purists don't like to hear that, but you know what? It probably happened. I think that's totally okay. So, preserve yourself for games that actually matter, not destroying Tommy DeVito. He's up to 73% this week. So, sometimes you just got to eat those bad games in order to reap the benefits of 2.5 sack games. So, what do you got on Cowboys and Panthers here?
Yeah, there's really 2 things I want to focus on here, one on each side of the team. Marquise Bell for the Cowboys. This was somebody that we saw him dip down to the 50s. I think it was like 57% of snaps last week. And we were wondering, is that Rashaan Evans eating in? Can we trust him going forward? Well, he responded with a pretty strong day as well as 85% of snaps. So we are right back on the Marquise Bell cheat code that he has been as a safety who plays linebacker every single down pretty much. And the other thing I want to focus on, the Panthers linebacker room. It sucks. It's just so bad. It's just ugly. Listen, you got Frankie Louvu, and we keep on waiting for the number 2 to step up. Is it Camus? Is it Deion Jones? Is it anybody else that exists? And frankly, maybe there's Von Bell. I don't know. It's very ugly. And I was really hoping for some clarity, and we did not get it. So just continues to be Frankie Louvu. But that's all I got for this game.
I thought I saw something where he popped. Now he played 100% of snaps, but I thought he may have picked up not like a serious injury, but I think Louvu might be. Yeah.
What happens to this team?
It's Armageddon.
They're so dependent on him right now.
Oh man, I don't know, man. That would be absolutely brutal. So yeah, I'm gonna highlight Von Bell here. Back his second week back to 100%. His first week was a little rough. I forget who they played last week, but it was kind of just like not a great game script for him. He still played 100% of snaps, didn't have much production. I know in our write-ups, we predicted him to have a much better game this week, and boom, here he is, 13 points, 6 solos. That's pretty darn good. So yeah, if people have not grabbed Von Bell yet back in your leagues, those are probably your more shallow leagues, and he's absolutely someone to go after. I'm not chasing this Troy Hill production. They got decimated at corner as well. I know Dante Jackson went down. They were without CJ Henderson. So, maybe if he's the only one available, he's worth a deep league ad, but I'm not going to highlight him for this week. The corners are just kind of like,
It's hit and miss.
Same,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
I was just gonna say, same with Duran. Yeah,
I'm all in. I have drank all of the Kool-Aid. You can talk all the crap you want about cornerbacks, but Deron Bland, listen, I'll give you a teaser here. He's mentioned in the newsletter this week.
nice.
He is now tied NFL history with 4 pick sixes in a single season.
Yeah,
He continues to get interceptions. He has 2 matchups against Washington and Josh Allen rest of the way. I think he's going to keep grabbing interceptions, and I'm willing to ride the hot and cold streak that it is. And his tackles haven't been crazy bad either. So and the PDs as well. He keeps on getting past defenses. So I have drank the Kool-Aid on him for sure. And one other thing I'll throw out. It's more of a dynasty angle. Hasn't had enough snaps, but Mazi Smith is getting to the quarterback. He's just not getting sacks. The last 2 weeks, he's really been getting there. And there's a clip. I wish I remembered who tweeted it. It's in the newsletter this week. Of him, he's getting there. He just doesn't have a ton of snaps, and he's not quite getting the sack. The ball's incomplete on each of them. Like how many QB hits do you have in this one? Can you scroll for me?
Mazi Smith.
I only gave him 1, but either way, my point is the tape is favorable for Mazi Smith. That's the only thing I'll throw out there.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So to Deron Bland point, I mean, now this was a very plus fantasy matchup for him. So like we've been nailing his matchups. Like it's incredible to see him continuing to do this. So that's awesome. Brian Burns, returns and does okay despite not recording a sack, but man, he's been really frustrating this year. So I'm going to highlight Mazi Smith. I'm going to highlight Sam Williams. Now, these are going to be for deeper Dynasty League editions because Sam Williams, again, only playing 27% of snaps, but comes home. This is 2 weeks in a row now with sacks. So I think next year when a washed DeMarcus Lawrence is hopefully gone, we will see Sam Williams take the reins next year. I'm not going to highlight him, but if you are listening for super deep leagues, DJ Johnson here played 46% of snaps, rookie 3rd round edge rusher for the Panthers. Not a ton of points there, but hey, getting on the field for 46% of snaps, if that can increase and he maybe gets a bigger role next year in like your super deep, like 53-man league. So Deion Jones played 53%. I think that was the next highest.
It doesn't matter.
Don't bother chasing it. So Damon Clark actually played less than Marquise Bell in this one. So that's interesting. Maybe Marquise Bell's shooting for that number 1 LB spot. That would be interesting.
Oh, Dallas. Just Dallas.
All right, you got anything else for this one?
No, that covered it.
Okie dokie. That will take us to Steelers and Browns. So Steelers and Browns, Mr. Elandon Roberts kind of had been a thorn in my side all year long because I was a big Quan Alexander guy. But obviously with his injury, Roberts plays 100% of snaps as we all kind of expected and produces with a really, really nice game here. So I'm going to highlight him. I mean, there might be leagues that don't know about if you're chasing points, he's going to show up, but hopefully you've been listening to us and grabbed him last week when we all told you that he was going to take over the number 1. As far as the number 2, a lot of people were picking up Mark Robinson, I believe a 2nd-year guy. I don't think he recorded a stat, but the Steelers did sign Michael Walker. CCA played 84% of snaps. Not a lot of production to go in. I'm going to highlight him just in case, but I'm not going too crazy because I'm not a big Michael Walker guy. He's like fine, but in this scheme for the Steelers with and they've got Watt and Highsmith who play a ton. Like I'm not expecting too much out of him going forward here. So safety wise, Brenton Thompson is a player on the Steelers who played 77% of snaps. along with DeMonte Casey played 100%, but Thompson actually outproduced Casey in this one. So yeah, I don't know. I maybe am not chasing that due to the 77%, but
you're not. Yeah. I'll tell you why. It's the Minka Fitzpatrick fill in. This defense,
and he's coming back.
So that's what I would expect. I would expect him to be back next week. But this defense is so banged up. It's ridiculous. You're down Cole Holcomb, you're down Quan Alexander, Chandon Sullivan, Trenton Thompson, Michael Walker. These guys weren't on the roster last week. As well as one of the linebacker. Mark Robinson, by the way, played all of his snaps on special teams. So we can put him to the win there. 23 snaps on special teams, none on defense. But this team is in shambles. Joey Porter was absolutely sauced by Amari Cooper, so that's the tackle numbers. I don't expect that to keep going. It was really just struggling on. Joey Porter lives on getting contact at the line of scrimmage. That's how he plays since college. He's a physical corner, and Amari Cooper his releases are next level. So that kind of gave him fits all game long. Myles Garrett's a god. TJ Watt's a god. Yeah. Alex Highsmith will have better days ahead, but still played very well for real life.
Slumping.
Yeah, this was. I mean, I have no idea why the Browns dropped back to pass like 40 times in this. Not a clue. But the Browns offensive tackles played very well. They played well in this one, so it's ugly. This team is ugly, and fantasy is fairly ugly. But Landon Roberts wore the green dot, got 100% snaps, and there's no one left. They did sign Miles Jack, which we have already seen this play out to the practice squad. Yep. They signed him to the practice
he retired.
He did. He is unretiring.
Damn.
And now he's coming back. But the fact that he did unretire speaks volumes about how bad this linebacker room is and possibly what they offered him of possibly a role back in the starting lineup. So
interesting.
I'm not excited, if you can't tell. I'll take a Landon Roberts. This was really also the perfect game script for Landon Roberts. 75 snaps, run-heavy team. He's a run stuffer. He is not good in coverage. So it won't be nearly as good every week for Landon Roberts, but he is the guy to own here.
Yeah, definitely. Look at that discrepancy in snaps. 75 for the Steelers. Cleveland just 58 at 100%. So there you go. I took Trenton Thompson away because I'm pretty sure Minka's due back this coming week. So
even then, I don't trust him enough to play him next week, even if Minka's out.
Yeah, do you see anybody else? I mean, my guy who I've touted for Dynasty, Mr. Okoronkwo here, got home for a sack, 4 TFLs too. I mean,
he played very well. He wasn't the issue.
So we know he's got it in him. He's just very sporadic and it's not consistent enough. So I'm not going to highlight him, although he's my guy. So I'm trying to be a little pragmatic here.
It's a good dynasty note because the problem is the Browns are running the most plays in the NFL right now on offense. They're running over 70 plays a game, and that leaves less for the defense. Especially when the defense is forcing people off the field constantly, and you have a guy that's already a 60% guy. So
that's kind of a shocking stat that they're running the most offensive plays.
I don't get quarterback. It. How it happens. It's run for 4 yards, pass for 4 yards, and then rinse, repeat. And then if it doesn't work, the defense gets a 3 and out. It's
the NFL.
It's really special what Jim Schwartz has done with this defense. It really is.
I'll throw JOK a highlight just because he's strung together a few decent weeks here in a row. 79%, which is probably the best that you're going to get out of a Cleveland linebacker. So I'll throw him a highlight in case people have given up on him, but only for like super deep leagues. I'm a Taki guy, so I'm going to throw him 88% there too. So I'm going to throw him a highlight as well. Just in case you're like super desperate in linebacker.
Yeah, people are getting there.
Anything else?
I would rather burn my eyes than think about this game anymore. It's so bad. It's so bad. If the Jets didn't get all the publicity, we'd be talking about the Steelers in the same light.
That's amazing. All right, we'll head to a much more exciting game. The
Alex Anzalone type of exciting, baby. Yeah.
The Bears and the Lions. David Montgomery got his revenge touchdown. Like all sorts of cool stuff happened in this one. Yes, you see Anzalone among the top there. I believe that should be a 10. Shit ton of tackles there.
11.
Is it 11? Okay.
Don't doubt them.
Yeah. This chart is giving me heck.
It's Alex Anzalone. It's fair to assume 1 and correct to 11 because he's just that much.
Yeah. So 75 snaps available to the Lions. Only 62 to the Bears. So Tremaine Edmonds returns and is right up here challenging TJ Edwards in IDP fantasy points. So I'd love to see them both continue, both with an interception in this one. Goff throws 3 picks, 2 of them the linebackers. That was an interesting development. We saw Aiden Hutchinson finally return. I did the write-up for this game that in the past week, and I was like, I'm calling Aiden as a stud this week. It's a great matchup, especially with Fields coming back. And if he doesn't give us something this week, it's major panic button time. So thankfully we can relax a little bit, but he still remains very much a matchup play and not an auto start. At least this year. I don't know.
Until they get more help. There's not enough help on that line. And
very true.
Have to deal with that, and now it's a switch, a completely different circumstance halfway through the year. So it's really a very difficult ask for Montez Sweat right now.
Yeah. Hey, it was nice to see Sweat finally do something on the Bears. Gives us a sack. Not a lot to go with it. Sanborn kind of steals a sack on 47% of the snaps. Would have been nice. Would have been nice to have that go to Edwards or Edmonds though. Because of course, everyone with Edmonds playing, the advice clearly was to put Sanborn back on the bench. He salvages his day with a sack with really not a lot else to go with it. I'm going to highlight Aleem McNeil primarily for your DT required leagues. This guy should definitely be owned by now. 72% of snaps in this one, got home for a sack. Now, he is kind of a sack or bust type player at the moment. And he's not, he's never going to hit double-digit sacks in a year, but the playing time is there, and you want him on your roster to play the matchups. And this, again, was a pretty solid matchup for DTs from a fantasy perspective going against the Bears. So definitely wanted to highlight him. Derek Barnes plays 95% of the snaps for the Lions as LB2. But Jack Campbell is right behind him in fantasy production on just 61%. So that's annoying.
That's what happens when you play against Chicago. You got to line up the linebackers, but very much matchup play there. But it still shows that Derek Barnes is ahead of Jack Campbell, which is frustrating. The player I'd want to be focusing on here, and I've been focusing on for a while, Tyreek Henson got him his first interception in his NFL career. Didn't get the tackles like he's been getting, but he has been fairly solid. Hit and miss a little bit. He had a bit of a slump, but was able to shake it off and has an incredibly juicy rest of season schedule against Minnesota, Detroit again, Cleveland, Arizona, and Atlanta, most of which are top half matchups for cornerbacks. So it's just something to watch for. 79% of snaps was a little bit less than I would have expected. But it was I don't quite know why. I
think he might have lost some time to injury. I think he might have gotten banged up a little bit. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure I heard that on like Red Zone in passing that he came off the field.
There we go. And that's exactly why he rolled his ankle in the third quarter.
There you go.
And hopefully he'll be okay. That's obviously something to also watch for. But with all the injuries to defensive backs right now, you lost Dufanga, you lost another defensive back that I'm blanking right now. But we had just so many injuries in the NFL this week. It's always important to keep those in mind. And I could tell you got the weekly talk of these Jerry Jacobs and Kirby Joseph debates. I know you got that on mind right here.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight, Kirby Joseph, after a really nice week last week, kind of comes crashing back down to earth, but is still playing 99% of snaps. So I'm gonna highlight him as someone to be on the radar for picking up despite, just a down week this week. And again, you kind of have to just live with it, depending on your needs there. I mean, Jerry Jacobs, he's their, corner. He's, it's more Joseph versus Walker, if anything. And oh God, I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he got injured again, but Will Harris didn't play, so I don't know who the heck was playing safety next to Joseph.
What a good game.
Yeah, but no, he's the slot. He's a safety on MFL from a position designation, but he's been playing. He's their slot corner. At least he has been all year. Now in this game, did that change? I'm about to check. No. So Branch is actually all over the place. He's kind of doing the Josh Mattel thing. 16 snaps on the defensive line, 16 in the box, 7 at free safety, 30 in the slot, 5 at boundary corner. So
that's amazing. That is fantasy gold right there.
Yeah,
you couldn't ask for more. Like if you had to split them among all the positions, that's the exact order of the snaps you'd want. You want the least at boundary, and you want the most in the slot. And 13 on the defensive line. It's candy on top. He's fantastic. He's going to be great for IDP for years to come, hopefully. But yeah, he's awesome. I do also want to pull attention to a 76% defensive end here, man.
Oh,
had a QB hit. And nothing.
Yannick
Ngakoue. That's all.
All the way
not
down
actually
here.
paying attention. I just find it so funny that he's still playing 73% of snaps, and every week it's the same exact dud because he's absolutely terrible.
He's just allergic to tackling. It's insane.
It really, he just takes off. He only cares about the quarterback.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I think that's good for me too. So what I think probably happened though, just to quickly, as far as like the safety situation, it was Kirby Joseph playing center field most of this game. So that's kind of what happened. And then it was 3 linebackers. So I kind of, said Derek Barnes playing 95% because he doesn't normally play that much. So I think it was a lot of 3 linebackers with Anzalone, Barnes, Campbell, and then Kirby Joseph way in the back is like a 1 safety, a little bit of Tracy Walker sprinkled in, a lot of Brian Branch everywhere, and then the 2 boundary corners in Cam Sutton and Jerry Jacobs. So that's kind of how I think the alignment went this week and why Tracy Walker was down so much. So.
And that's a result of Chicago, of having that 1 safety help for DJ Moore. And then you don't really worry about Byron Pringle and the rest of the room there. How Byron Pringle is still an NFL receiver, I will never know.
Yeah.
But either way, that's why that is. I would expect that to rebound.
Absolutely. All righty. So that will take us to the Chargers and the Packers. So I have to find them. There's Green Bay and there's the Chargers. Okay. Khalil Mack with a great game, a ton of tackles, 2 sacks. Like where he, this is kind of annoying to me, to be honest. Like he's taking away from Kendricks and Murray. He's adding the sacks, out of nowhere. He had that 6-sack game, now 2. Like I guess he's getting hot, but it's annoying to me because we know he disappears as well. So like, he feels like one of these guys, like you either start him and he gives you nothing and then you put him back to the bench and he does stuff like this completely out of nowhere. There was no matchup that said this should have happened. There was no indicators that this should have happened. And then boom, a monster game out of nowhere. So like, that's why he's annoying to me.
Yeah, and I got no other words other than to agree with you. It's tough to trust him, but you know what this upside is. We've seen it now multiple times.
Yeah.
The rest of this game, I kind of think it was almost exactly what we would have expected. Eric Kendricks gets second fiddle to Kenneth Murray. Kenneth Murray gets it done. Eric Kendricks happened to have a good tackle day. Although Yillman has continued his good form.
Yeah.
Jonathan Owens has been is a very reliable fill-in as long as Darnell Savage is out, and he should be a genuine streaming option. As you just highlighted, Tuli Tuipulotu played his highest snaps of the season at 92%. Joey Bosa is now on the injured reserve. Sprained foot. He will miss 4 games at least. So all wheels up for Tuli. You're still playing Quay Walker. And the rest of them kind of get killed through snap counts.
Yeah, nothing. The only other guy, I guess I'll highlight Anthony Johnson because Rudy Ford missed this one too, but it sounds like Ford's probably like on the mend and will come back. So I think Owens is the starter next to Ford if Ford comes back,
Yeah.
and then Johnson is kind of the odd man out. So we're gonna highlight him just in case. Maybe you need a handcuff to Ford or something like that. He really didn't have a ton of production here on his 100% of snaps. It was Owens who had most of the production there. And yeah, Thule's my guy. I'm a huge fan.
I
So
love him.
yes, I really hope he flourishes here with Bosa out. So I'm really going to be rooting for him going forward. So yeah, other than that, I don't have a whole lot else on this game, to be honest.
Yeah, it's between two teams that use, as we can see here, especially compared to the other teams we're looking at, a lot of 100% guys between Staley's defense and blanking the Packers defensive coordinator. But very, very 100% snap type of heavy guys. So we talk about the obvious names and we kind of move on from the other ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to see Rashawn Gary take home a sack finally. Although a lot of people probably weren't starting him, so that's annoying. But
next year,
at least
yeah, Gary.
Yeah, wheels up. Who else got sacked? Sebastian Joseph Day, 54%. Kind of rough to chase that. Carl Brooks out of nowhere on 38%. It'd be nice to see Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt getting some sacks here, but
it hasn't been happening with Kenny Clark for a few years now. And Devontae Wyatt, Lucas Van Ness, Devontae Wyatt, they have not been impact first round picks.
No.
It's disappointing from both of them.
Yeah. All righty. I think that's good on that game. So that will take us to the Cardinals and the Texans. So we had this is like multiple annoying things to me on this one, right? Because I hate Blake Cashman. He's annoying because I was a Perryman guy. I was literally everyone but Cashman guy. I like Harris. I like Tuo. I like Perryman. And it's freaking Cashman who's racking up all the stats, all the people, I picked him up. Yeah, good for you. It's been the complete best of circumstances for him to be able to flourish here. And then on the other side, we lose my other guy, Kaiser White. Had him everywhere, and now he's probably going to miss the rest of the year. So double annoyance is here at linebacker between those two. So what do you got on this one?
I will say before, as you besmirch Blake Cashman, his theft rates have been pretty good for the man. He is, and also if you want to talk about someone who's I can't stand Christian Harris. He was thrust back into 100% role because Henry Toto was out. I like Henry Toto.
Yeah.
So it's tough to trust. You can play him when everyone else is out, which is the case right now. But I hope that Toto is back next week. But really, the biggest story from this game, and I think we both are going to agree on it, it's Chris Barnes. Chris Barnes is going to be, it should be the number one IDP waiver wire pickup this week. He played, sorry. Wait.
Are you sure about that? Because he had the most points.
Josh Woods. Well, sorry, not Chris Barnes. Get that guy out of there. I don't know why I was thinking that. It's Josh Woods.
I'm going to leave them both highlighted because, Josh Woods has been the LB2 when healthy.
Yes.
But Chris Barnes could have an impact here as the LB2. I mean, Josh Woods was doing 2 this week. He had a stinker last week, but then he had a decent week the week before that. So 2 out of 3 weeks as essentially the LB2. Josh Woods has been relevant and had decent points. So you kind of flip-flop them around. Now Josh Woods, the LB1, hopefully getting Kaiser White type stats. Chris Barnes could be, someone worth picking up again in like really deep leagues. So
in deep leagues, you could always take a shot on both. Whenever you have those murky situations, I do think it'll be Josh Woods. It's somebody that saw the increase in snaps in this one of sure, it wasn't 100%, but it was still in the 80s, and he's not normally an 80% type of guy. Look, I don't Aki Fotu, I think that's how I pronounce it, also got hurt in this one, which Not fun because he's been really good on that defensive line, honestly, and they've worked really good things with him. So hopefully that's not crazy serious. Marco Wilson, I'll throw out of somebody who keeps on getting tackles because he's terrible. Until they bench him, he's been a pretty steady fantasy producer because he just gets tackles and he gets thrown out so much that sometimes he gets a pass defense as well. So it's something to look out for the truly DB needy. And the only other big disappointment from this, I'm sure you want to talk about Budda Baker's disappointment, but I was really let down by Jonathan Greenard in this one. I am genuinely surprised. Maybe it's a Kyler situation. I know he's not that, but he's been productive. He's been
Will Anderson get some freaking sacks finally.
Listen, I'm fine with that too. Listen, he should have had more, honestly. He should have had at least 2 to 3. But yeah, Greenard really crap.
That's what guys like that do, though. They come in spurts. I mean, we'll get to them, but we saw Boy Mafe's streak come to a screeching halt. He did nothing.
Last week I highlighted. I talked about BJ Ojolari in the newsletter, and I wanted to believe in him, but there was a lot of also reasons why this big breakout wasn't going to happen. So kind of laid out both lines there, and we had he got a sack, but
not a lot else to go with it.
Really so dependent on getting that sack. And even that still didn't see a ton of snaps, but
50, I mean, he's climbing up. He's climbing 50 is kind of his baseline right now for the past 2 games. So if they are smart and play him more, maybe we'll see more, but you can't really count on that with that coaching staff.
Nobody see it.
So it was awesome to see Derek Stingley back. I'm going to highlight him too. He was technically back last week, but kind of, you see him at 100% this week. He was not 100% snaps his first week back, and boom, what does he do? Monster game in his first week back at 100%. Now he is kind of one of those, boom or bust corners. He's not Nate Hobbs where he's going to give you like consistency each week. But when exactly. But when he booms, he booms. So nice to see that. Nice to see Petrie not giving us a 0 burger there. So we'll take that. These are supposed to be 10 points. So nice to see that. And but Baker, he's back to playing center field, which sucks for his production. So look, you see the monster game from Jalen Thompson, and you want to know why that is? That is because he is playing all over. 32 box snaps, 18 at free safety, 16 at slot, and 1 at boundary corner versus Baker.
Maybe that's the biggest beneficiary of Kazir White's injury.
Very possible. Very, very possible. So from a fantasy perspective, I want Jalen Thompson over Budda Baker rest of season. And you can, do not hold on to Budda Baker in your shallow leagues just because of name. Because now he did play 25 snaps in the box. So that's better than he's had for the past couple of weeks, but he was still the number 1 player at free safety for the Cardinals this week. So not good for fantasy. But maybe both of them will chip in as LB2 if they don't trust Chris Barnes, which would be fair.
Probably don't. I mean, listen, Kazir White left early in this one, and Barnes only played 30% of snaps.
Yeah. Hey, what a mess. What a mess.
That's the Cardinals.
All right. We're going to move on from that mess to the Titans and the Jaguars. So, there's Jaguars and there's Titans. Okay. My man Devin Lloyd with a huge tackle game. Very nice to see that. Foye doing his thing. Christian Fulton is at the top there. So really, yikes. This game kind of stunk for IDP players. A lot of half sacks. With not a lot of tackles to go around.
Look at it. I mean, there's no snaps in this game.
Yeah.
Titans couldn't stay on offense, and the Jaguars scored quickly.
This could be a quick one. Interesting from the safeties, right? So we saw on the Titans safety. So we saw Terrell Edmonds have nice production, but just 49% of snaps. We saw Kevon Wallace have decent production, but just 34% of snaps. So, like, what the hell is going on in Tennessee? Like, what are we supposed to do there? And then my guy, Amani Hooker, plays 89% of the snaps and has the least production out of all of them.
This game was out of hand quickly, and
this game was gross.
It was also the Jaguars didn't need to throw the entire second half in this one.
Yeah,
so I'm going to somewhat chalk that up, and that's why we saw more Kevon Wallace as well. I mean, the Titans have always really used 3 safeties, and that third safety is usually the guy that's left out, and in this circumstance is the other way around. But it's really the only thing I took away from this entire game is Foy is awesome. Like truly everything else kind of went out the window because the defense really wasn't on the field, and every play seemed to be a long completion or an incomplete pass or a run into a defensive tackle. It was just ugly. So that's why we had so many assisted tackles in this one. Look at that.
I was gonna say the solos were
successful Derrick Henry runs and long touchdowns by Jacksonville, or just touchdowns by Jacksonville. So this was just an ugly one. Jeffrey Simmons called his touchdown.
Saved his day.
Bulk those numbers up. The man didn't have just 4 points. Nah, the man had a 2-yard
calculate.
Wasn't the offensive stats.
It did not calculate the offensive touchdown, at least not yet, unfortunately. But most platforms, thankfully, we're awarding him with that offensive touchdown. So
and if it doesn't find new platform.
If MFL, this is MFL.
MFL not award the touchdown?
At least not yet. I feel like that could be like a stat correction thing coming, hopefully. But
we're gonna have to have words.
They certainly better. The only thing I'm gonna touch on then to finish this one off, the Jack Gibbons snap share slide continues, and he was crushing it there for a few weeks in a row, and now we have 2 weeks in a row of really just losing steam from a snap share standpoint. So playing a lot of defensive backs is Tennessee. So
and also Monty Rice, I mean, sneaking in there with 41% of snaps, and I don't love Monty Rice, but 7 tackles on 41% of snaps. He was at least more involved on field.
He's eating into it. Yeah, there he is up there. So I'm gonna highlight him just to say that he's eating into the Jack Gibbons.
And also Azeez, I will say, and I know we got a few questions on Twitter. Azeez only playing 70% of snaps. I don't get it. That's concerning. I don't think that was game script. That's because they don't act. I don't think it was, honestly. And that's a little scary to me.
He did pick up an injury designation going into the week. So he played 100% of the snaps week 10, picked up, I believe, a hip injury, was questionable heading into week. So I don't know if they just took it easy with him, knowing that the game was probably, over after halftime. I hope that's what happened there. And I hope he didn't aggravate that injury further, because that would be really heartbreaking for his season and a lot of IDP managers who have been counting on him.
On that one.
Yeah. So I really don't. Do you have anyone else to highlight from waivers standpoint?
Elijah Molden has been kind of putting it together the last few weeks. Had himself another 5 tackles there, 80% snaps. He's still the Titans cornerback I want. And he came into this game with a tackle line of 5.5. So it's good for cornerbacks what Elijah Molden's been doing, but no.
You'd rather have him over McCreary?
You're flipping a coin. I mean, I'll take McCreary because he plays more snaps, but it's cornerbacks, man. It's any given week.
Yeah. All right, we'll highlight both of them then. You see Fulton at the top here, but I think he's probably playing more safety.
Everyone's playing safety on the
I know, that's what's like.
He got rid of Byard and somehow didn't have any plan on how they were going to replace him.
I don't know. Fulton's their boundary corner, so he must have just been on Ridley most of the game. But yeah, I mean, he's at the top, but only 12.5 points. So yeah, this game was there was not a lot of IDP meat on the bone for this one. So I'm going to move on. All right, Raiders and Dolphins. So they're going to be in the middle here. Bam, 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 bam. Jalen Phillips. Now this I had been. What I do a lot of my Sundays is basically like box score watch. If my red zone's like stream is not working, which it was being very annoying. So I was kind of just off in La La Land, and I was like, Jalen Phillips kind of having a stinker. And then, didn't come back to check until Sunday night. And I saw the stat line. I was like, holy shit, where did this come from? So that must have came more in like the second half, but 2 sacks, a pick, 3
not to interrupt you, but not just the second half. It was the last 2 drives of the game. The interception came on the last play of the game. The sack came 2 plays before. And I think another sack. I think all of it came on the final drive or second to last drive. It was
okay.
He got it done. He was great when he looked good doing it. But yeah, it all came late. It all came late.
We'll take it whenever we can get it. That's why we play 60 minutes, right? So awesome to see him have a monster game. Of course, Nate Hobbs doing his thing. Crosby did get his sack. So I mean, a lot of the guys that we expected to do well here did. Isaiah Polamau comes out of nowhere, 77%. I wonder did Marcus
got hurt?
Yeah, he must have gotten hurt.
Got hurt in this game, so that
is. We know how bad. Should that be someone I highlight?
It's worth highlighting because I don't know if Epps is going to be ready for next week. And we have 100% type of role that's going to be available for a defense that gets gashed on a weekly basis.
So if you're crazy enough to be in a league that you need a Marcus Epps handcuff, we're going to highlight Polamau. The linebackers from Miami kind of stunk. Baker, 10 points. And I believe I saw, David Long really had a shitty game here on just 46% of snaps. So that kind of stunk. Bradley Chubb, nice to see him giving you tackles and at least a decent game with no sacks. So, he's not completely sack dependent, I suppose.
He's built a nice floor over the last month to really build up those tackle numbers.
Big Bob Spillane doing his thing. Now, I saw Divine Diablo got hurt again, so I'm going to highlight Luke Masterson because I think he took over. So if you're in need of a desperation play there. But, just nice to see the studs at the top there and, some Miami corners, going against the rookie Aiden O'Connell with, of course, playing Miami. Although it wasn't like a super high scoring game, it felt like there was a lot of back and forth going on there. So, the corners scoring high here kind of makes sense. And man, is it just insane how there's just nobody to go with Max Crosby on that defensive line?
And yet he still does it. It's so beyond ridiculous what he can do. But yes, it is truly remarkable how ineffective Tyree Wilson has been this season.
Yeah,
if you can't crack this lineup, I know he was raw coming out, and this was expected. We had the Chandler Jones situation, but this is a horrific room that he is not able to get on the field of.
One of my better fades, at least, to start the career of Tyree Wilson in Dynasty was not a big fan. Although I liked Big Will McDonald, he's not really doing much for me either. So
I never really understood your year one love for him.
I really thought he was going to get a chance. I didn't know.
Jermaine Johnson, man, it takes 2 years.
Just keep him off the freaking field, but we can talk about that when we get that. Yeah. Anything else on this one though?
Nah.
Okay. All right, that'll take us to the Giants and the Commanders. So there's the Giants, there's the Commanders. Big Bobby O staying strong. 2 forced fumbles, a ton of tackles.
81 defensive snaps.
And
that is the other linebacker not named Logan Wilson that has played every single defensive snap. It's
beautiful.
Bobby O.
That was a great call. I mean, we had Bobby O projected super high this year, had some pushback for it, and really, really happy to see that one paying off. So, Yeah, I love it. Big David Mayo getting 2 sacks in this one. Jamin Davis held his ground. And David Mayo doing all that production on just 64% of the snaps. So a little scary
That's
going
a
forward there.
Giants offensive line situation.
Yeah, maybe not counting on that to plug him
2
into your
sacks from
starting
David Mayo.
lineups.
No.
Yeah. It's nice to see because I'm in some really deep leagues where I played the matchup and I threw Mayo in, so it's nice to get this stat line. Nice to get Kayvon Thibodeau 2 sacks. Like this, we knew, right? We knew there was going to be a billion sacks in this game between both of these teams. So.
Two of the bets I threw out there were Dexter Lawrence sack and Casey Toohill sack. So
beautiful. Yeah, we got it we got Deron Payne finally doing something. So yeah, literally it was a sack party in this one. So with that being said, Micah McFadden, I kind of expected a nicer game from him. I mean, it was fine.
It was still good. It wasn't top end. Like I thought it would be top end as well. I was a little bit disappointed, if you could call it that, but still content.
Yeah, but we'll take it. Good enough on tackles, a pass defended, and a fumble recovery. That's going to save his day in a lot of leagues anyway. And then you had dumb Isaiah Simmons with that last play, pick 6. Like, don't chase it. Don't chase it. So I'm going to highlight McFadden in this one. I'm going to highlight Mayo, but again, we're cautioning you to don't chase these stats. But I actually I hate Jamin Davis. He stinks. So, but he's playing 100% of the snaps. So
7 tackles in each of the last 3 weeks, 7 tackles or more.
Whatever.
He has picked it up over the last month, at least in terms of production. That's the other name I wanted to talk about was I was a Casey Toohill not believer, but that was the name that I was most interested in, and he still wasn't invisible, still got 84% of snaps, but KJ Henry was the guy that was making the most consistent impact on that Washington defensive line. That wasn't Jonathan Allen. So that's someone that is 100% worth looking into of KJ Henry. Although again, like you mentioned with David Mayo, it's very important to caution. This was the perfect matchup for both of these.
Everyone.
Literally last one and second to last one by a good margin.
Right. So of course that means the secondary for the Commanders kind of struggled in this one from a fantasy production standpoint. Although he was slinging it, I mean he had a ton of yards, but just not a lot of fantasy points to go around there. So
Cam Curl still gets 7 tackles.
Yeah, that's a great baseline. We will take that from our safety any day. No splash plays to go with it, but hey, we'll take that as a floor. 8 days out of the week. I'm highlighted those guys: Henry, McFadden, Mayo, and Toohill going forward. But again, this was probably going to be their best games of the year.
Yes.
So, anything else?
No, you touched on it.
All righty. That will take us to
I will quickly throw out Percy Butler again, 98% snaps as that other name next to.
He deserves a highlight before we move on.
As long as Derek Force is out, which I believe he still will be for the foreseeable future, he has been quietly solid. So
absolutely, and he's on the field basically 100% of the snaps. Yes. So we've been calling that out in the written content. So again.
Mentioned
Sacksgiving promo and the newsletter promo code Sacksgiving, yearly membership, Black Friday sale, 30% off. If you want to just dip your toe in the water and maybe not go for a full year, we still of course have the IDP plus sign pod IDP plus pod code for any level of subscription for 10% off if you don't want to make the year-long commitment for the Black Friday. So multiple discount codes and ways
great opportunity for holiday gifts.
Absolutely. So all right, for the Niners and the Buccaneers here, kind of top heavy scoring here. Nick Bosa got a sack, thank God. Chase Young gets a sack in this one. as well. So not a ton else to go with it from a tackle standpoint, but that's who they are. They're not going to give. They're not Max Crosby, right? They're not going to give you 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tackles a game. We just hope that they bring you home the sacks. So the big name that we got to talk about, right? Yeah, I'll let you take it away, Mr.
On my taxi squad all year long, and I can finally activate him, although with a very sad reason. With Talanoa Hufanga out for the season with the torn ACL, it was the rookie J.R. Brown who had a very good August, and the entire summer was coaches were singing his praises, and we thought we would see him on the field as that third safety, and we really have not.
Too.
But with Hufanga out, he stepped up and played incredibly well. 3 pass defending, got himself a pick, 51% of snaps because that was the other half that Hufanga left behind. So he's as good of a pickup as any, if not really the best defensive back pickup of the week, in my eyes, of what we've been able to get from Hufanga and everything that we've already seen from J.R. Brown and everything that was rumored over the summer.
Excellent. Yeah, so beyond him, but yeah, I think he's definitely a really strong play going forward here then. So yeah, he's probably going to walk into a really, really nice role there. But yeah, it was.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to switch subjects. If you have more on Brown, I was going to.
No, yeah, I was about to switch too.
Yeah. No, the other big thing from this game was Levante David leaving late with an injury.
Oh, that's right.
That's a very important thing to watch for, because Levante David has been exceptional here, which, I mean, he is up there in age, and they almost didn't even bring him back, and I couldn't imagine where the defense is without him. So that's something to watch for. If Levante David's going to miss time, it was, I believe, scroll a little bit more.
Okay. That's
Slovakia Dennis, the rookie, who obviously didn't, he only had a quarter to perform. The game was out of hand, but that was the guy who saw the highest jump in snaps. So something to watch for deeper leagues. Jamel Dean also left with injury, as did Carlton Davis. So Jamel Dean being the more relevant of the two. So it was Kayvon Merriweather that I believe filled in for the most part there. So that's
these guys.
It's not something I'm chasing, because Jamel Dean was really a tackle machine on himself. It's not the role; it's who he is. But yeah, the Levante David news is something that 100% people should be taking note of.
Absolutely. Yaya Diaby, I'm not chasing this 2 sacks on 35%. He's a nice little dynasty stash if you've got him, but in your redraft leagues and whatnot, definitely not chasing that. Arik Armstead, this was a really nice matchup. We called him out in the written content as a solid tier 2 type guy. Boom, comes home for a sack. Nice to see that. But yeah, other than that, the safety and the Levante David, I was just gonna say, of course, it's another Levante David week over Devin White. Devin White, kind of a clunker again. He was banged up coming into this, but plays 100% of the snaps. And now it's David who gets injured. So who knows what the heck's going on there. Javon Hargrave, a stinker, despite a really nice fantasy matchup. So Armstead, I guess, kind of stole his sack maybe in this one, but better days ahead for Hargrave too. So yeah, Hufanga, he's definitely out for the year, right? Torn ACL.
Torn ACL at this point of the year, yes. So he's for sure done for the regular season of fantasy. So
you can drop, honestly, if you can like throw him. This is funny. This will be like a dual edge. If you're maybe like a rebuilding team and you're making trades, see if you can, and you're trading with a Hufanga manager, get him as a throw in, or you could throw him in on your side to sweeten the deal. Maybe if you're trading with a rebuilder. So kind of both playing both sides there from a dynasty perspective. Because we might not see Hufanga until this time next year. So that could be a little rough for his comeback there. So anything else in this one?
No, just that Antoine Winfield's an absolute dog and took advantage of a great matchup.
Absolutely. All righty, that'll take us to Jets and Bills. There's Buffalo.
Game of the week.
Mr. Wilson finally gets benched. So, Atop the scoring here, the trade acquisition from the Bills, Rasul Douglas came over from the Packers and had 2 picks and a fumble recovery, so 3 turnovers for one player. Obviously, and he played 100% of snaps. So in your corner required leagues, I'll give him a highlight. I mean, he's playing a lot of time, and he's not going to do this every week, obviously, but playing that kind of significant time in the right matchup, then Douglas could definitely be someone to pay attention to there. Who I'm not chasing is 2.5 sacks from Leonard Floyd on 44% of snaps. Of course, I have him in some really deep leagues. I rarely start him because it's either this or it's nothing, and you're never going to pick the right week. So, which is why everyone should play best ball. Scoring, just best ball scoring, especially in your IDP leagues. But I digress. So yeah, I'm not really chasing that. Great game. If you were desperate and needed to start him, then great. But did Terrell Bernard got a little banged up, correct?
Yes,
in
he
this
did.
one, I
I believe he did. I don't know how serious it is. It was obviously late in the game. The game was out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's something we'll have to see going on. But I am. This Bills linebacker room is a headache that never ends. So I hope he's okay, just so I can confidently say I want nothing to do with
it. So yeah, we saw Bernard play 82% of the snaps. Tyrell Dodson outproduced everyone, playing 68%.
25%.
And Dorian Williams just 25%. So as long as Bernard's not going to miss time, it looks like it's still Bernard and Dodson. And Dodson, got a sack in this one that kind of carried his day, along with a forced fumble. So those are normally the plays reserved for Bernard. So proceed with caution. Dodson's not going to do that every week either. Let's see. Ed Oliver back with a sack. Nice to see that. We saw Tony Adams go down. So although he's not good,
I believe he ended up coming back in the game. It was Amos who did fill in after, and Ashton Davis, but we saw his. I don't know if you saw the injury. Did you catch the injury?
With the finger bone popping out or whatnot.
Glove. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And they play on Friday this week, so we'll see. If I'm not really interested in Amos, even if Adams is out, but yeah, that's a pretty ugly situation, literally and figuratively. But Will McDonald, I'll give you a chance to do a victory lap on your 16% of snaps.
Yeah, he's creating havoc on 16%. Play the guy more. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't know how he only played. I don't know how he only played 16% in a 30-point blowout, but
like give him some freaking run here. Like it's insane. I don't understand these coaches sometimes. So
yeah. The other thing that I took out of this game, one, I'll forgive and forget. I have no idea how CJ Mosley played 76 snaps and finished with 3 tackles.
I know.
4 tackles. It was befuddling, but it is what it is. You just have to move on. The Williams brothers were fantastic. We had a very much needed bounce back from Quincy Williams after a few weeks of duds. So yeah, he's right back on track. I talked on the Start Sit show that morning of how I was willing to trust him again. Disappointing from Jermaine Johnson, but the Jets were disappointing as a team. I'm still very high on him in certain matchups. Teron Johnson with an injury. What? Sorry?
Josh Allen just doesn't take sacks,
Yeah,
he's one of the worst matchups.
He throws an interception instead sometimes.
Yeah, at least not to the defensive lineman. He doesn't take sacks. So sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah. And the only other thing I was going to say, Teron Johnson, I believe, left the game with an injury. I'm not interested in chasing that backup, but that's something to watch for. Greg Rousseau continues to disappoint. Obviously, Taylor Rapp left with an injury. Hasn't been quite the most fantasy relevant of the bunch, if we think about it like that. But hopefully, he's okay. So yeah, it's we know who we want from both these teams.
Yeah, exactly. Better days for Jermaine Johnson, I think, coming. So.
Yes, still star.
Good. Anybody? Is there still Douglas really the only guy? Right? We should probably be worried about.
It's Brandon Echols' 19-yard reception wasn't included in here. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really. chasing any of the rest. We forgive and forget CJ Mosley. I forgive and forget Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah.
Greg Rousseau is tough to trust, but maybe in certain matchups. And yeah, you're playing the rest of Quinnen, Ed Oliver, Quincy. This was an outlier type of game for DJ Reed. He has not had a lot of tackles this season. He had a much better fantasy season a year ago. So I wouldn't be chasing these 9 tackles. I think he has like 28 on the season, and 9 of them just came. So not something I'm chasing of the 24.5 points that he had there.
Fair enough. And that'll take us to Seahawks and Rams. So there's the Seahawks. There's the Rams. Okay. Devin Witherspoon just continues to be an animal. Gets a sack in this one, plenty of tackles. So yeah, he's probably one of my biggest misses for dynasty rankings, at least. Or at least I thought year 1 would be maybe a little slow because I thought they were so deep at corner with Reed Woolen and Kobe Bryant and everything. So like I just totally whiffed on Witherspoon for year 1 at least. So Ernest Jones comes back and bounces back, 10 total, but only 3 solo, but did have half a sack to go with that. So kind of helped his day there with the low solos. Bobby Wagner revenge game goes just fine. Nothing crazy. The big one was Jordan Brooks, doing hardly anything and playing 99% of snaps. So just not a lot of fantasy points available in this one to a lot of people. So I thought Byron Young would have a much better game.
That's the surprising one for me.
Yeah, it was a hacked game.
91% snaps, and
he played more than hacked, but just not. He just got outproduced in this one. But hey,
it was also not a heavy snap game. 91% snaps and only 59 snaps is a pretty small amount.
Right.
But yeah, it's still disappointing. We still would have liked to see more. Just like I would have liked to see a little bit more out of Kobe Turner. But getting 4 tackles and a QB hit out of a DT isn't the worst thing in the world either.
Absolutely. So yeah, a lot of people came back down to earth. Here's Boy Mafe. 1 defended pass, and that's it. So, yikes.
It was fun while it lasted. I enjoyed it.
It was.
He's fun. He's still fun. Good days are ahead, but
yeah. It was a nice little streak there. So the safeties here are interesting. I'm going to highlight Quentin Lake for a pickup. I mean, 100% of snaps there. We also see John Johnson and Jordan Fuller still played 100% of snaps. So I think this was a lot of just 3 safeties set. I guess Russ Yeast either lost his job or got injured. I'm not 100% sure there, but down to 22%. I would imagine injury.
I have to imagine he's been fairly good this year.
Yeah, because he's been all right. So yeah, just not a lot of linebacker 2 there with Roseboom only playing 25% and Reader 22. So I think it was just a lot of 3 safeties on the field in this one.
Yeah, let me. I'll give you the quote from Sean McVay. Not an injury. Sean McVay on John Johnson largely taking over from at Greg Beecham on Twitter. John earned the right to be able to get on the grass. He's a guy that we have a lot of confidence in. There was a timetable that it took maybe a little bit longer for him to get himself back into shape. So
that's interesting.
Now that he's in shape, in the eyes of the Rams, they played him for 100% of snaps. So that's tough for Russ.
Johnson played 71%.
Yes,
yeah,
71%.
So interesting. So I'm going to proceed with caution there, but maybe we'll highlight him as well as Quentin Lake, who took over as the other safety at 100%. So I don't see a whole lot else here from a pickup standpoint. I mean, Byron Young playing now, I'm going to highlight him just because I love touting him every week in Dynasty and redraft. I think there's plenty of opportunity with him playing those amount of snaps. Like that's insane. So
we saw Christian Rosebloom fall back down to earth with the return of Ernest Jones, which was something we could see coming. But otherwise, something that we have not given enough credit to, I think, Julian Love this year for staying fantasy relevant. But Jamal Adams also entered this game hurt. Did not really get it done. Did he even play? Get in the game?
He at least didn't record any stats. Let me see. if I can-
I'll fact check that real quick because I'm sure he didn't record a stat, but I thought he was active. So
I don't think he played any snaps.
let's see. Did he? He was active. He must not have played snaps. Or played only a handful, I suppose.
I
Yeah.
don't see him register
Oh,
any
uh,
snaps.
Yeah. No, nothing. It wasn't on the field. So don't really know
Interesting.
why they decided to decoy Jamal Adams. I didn't know what a competitive advantage that gave him. Oh, I guess he wasn't active. That I ignore it, I
Okay.
guess. Cut that. Let's cut it out.
Hey, nobody's perfect here. If we, we're not going to have all the information. So I'm going to highlight Diggs and Julian Love here going forward because, people probably dropped and moved on. So might as well grab him back if he's going to be playing. Yeah, the defensive line's all kind of stunk here. All right. I mean, when Michael Hecht is the top defensive line scorer, it's not great.
Yeah. He puts it together every so often, but once you play him, he'll drop off. So
Yeah.
it's really tough to trust.
He's a tough one to predict. So
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, we touched on it.
All right. And Vikings-Broncos. So we had some guys we were excited to see in this one, especially from the linebacker standpoint. Our guy Ivan Pace with Jordan Hicks out. Boom, 100% snaps. And hey, he had good, decent enough production. 7 total tackles, a forced
only
fumble,
55 defensive snaps as a team as well.
Right.
So he has to really make it work, which is what he does.
So I'm going to highlight him just in case people are still sleeping on him. Stupid Baron Browning. I got to highlight him, though. I hate him. He gets the sack in this one. Yeah. Cooper got a sack, too. Of course, Nick Bonito, who's better than both of them, did nothing on his 58%. He got a QB hit. That would have been nice if it turned into a sack, but it's so annoying. Like he needs to play more. He needs to get his rhythm in there, and they're wasting it playing Baron freaking Browning. So Jaquan McMillan, I'll highlight him. He's a really nice corner required league player. He's a slot corner, so he's not going to play 100% snaps, but he was all over the place. So even with no tackles, he still got a pick, defended a pass, got a fumble recovery. And so if he, imagine if he does add tackles to that, you have a really nice game. So he's kind of one of these guys that seems to be a bit of a ball hawk. And it's just kind of always around there. I will highlight Kareem Jackson, who's back.
Not back.
Wait, what happened? Is he suspended again?
Yes, he is.
Well,
he launched himself again. He is now suspended for 4
games.
Idiot,
this guy is.
I just hope they keep it at 4 games. Tell me how this works, Steve. They deemed the punishment was worth 4. He appeals. He gets down to 2. Then he does it again, and they give him 4 again. How is it only 4 again? I'm done with Kareem Jackson.
Get this guy out of here.
No, get him out.
He's old. He's like old as hell for football. Like, forget it. Get him out of there. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
Nice to see Singleton and Jewel at the top, but I kind of predicted. I thought Jewel would earn back his 100%. We'd kind of see him and Singleton flip, but it ain't happening. Singleton's got a stranglehold on that LB1 100%.
Not playing well either for real.
Of course not, because he
played better last year. At least I gave him a lot of crap, but he played better last year. This year he's back at Philly form.
That's why I just don't understand how Jewel isn't earning the job back. Maybe I think Jewel's probably playing hurt. That's probably the only explanation is that he's playing hurt, and they're just trying to give him these snaps off to not completely lose him to missed weeks. So that's really got to be the only explanation there. Can't buy him,
It was a tough matchup.
This
was a very tough matchup. This is like the hardest matchup for safeties this year. So it was a slump, but getting 7 tackles is still better than we've seen in past weeks from him. And
right,
I'm okay with this one from him.
Yeah, this is on the road back to recovery. 2 weeks of really bad weeks. This one, we'll take it, especially against a bad matchup.
just not a lot of defensive snaps for the Vikings in this one as well. So 7 tackles on 55 snaps will in the hardest matchup for safeties this year. Not bad at all.
Same with my guy every week, Josh Metellus. He's going to be a pickup every week. I still got him in a league. I couldn't believe it. Kind of a clunker, but same thing. Just not a lot of snaps here available against kind of a goofy offense. Much better days ahead for Metellus after kind of a clunker here. Although it's not horrible. 4 total tackles and a defended pass. I mean, whatever. He'll get a pass from me all year long.
Of course.
Anthony Barr played 22% of snaps. Like, I really hope they're not gonna hand it to him. I think Pace is playing well enough. Let's see. How did he grade out? Did he have a? He did have a good grade. Good.
Don't.
Yes, he was the top. He was the top Vikings graded player. Yes, we love to see that. So we're not going to waste our breath on Anthony Barr.
Brian Asamoah could be back next week.
No, nobody cares about him either. He might as well not come back.
No, I know. It's hard.
So yeah, anyone else you want to identify as maybe a pickup or?
I mean, we had a decent week out of Zach Allen.
But, this is a tough matchup too.
It was. I'm not. I think we touched on everything here. Justin Simmons played very well, I will say.
Yeah,
and I feel like I have not given Justin Simmons his due credit this year for his occasional relevance. It's just the tackle numbers are so low because of the coverage role that he has. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach Allen, I expected a much better year this year, but
so did I thought you went him as well. I feel bad.
Yeah. In DT required, he's doing fine for you.
Yeah.
If you got him as a DL or a DN, you're probably not super happy.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that does it for the game roundups. We're just gonna do a quick look back here on all the guys that we highlighted. So these will be, we'll call them our trending players, our waiver wire pickups for the week. So I'm just going to run down. Let me resort it by position here. So, okay. We'll do the defensive backs first. So in your corner required leagues, we've got Rasul Douglas, again acquired from the Packers a couple weeks ago. He's playing 100% of snaps. He's going to be in really advantageous positions, I think, here going forward. So in your corner required leagues, he's definitely a solid pickup. Derek Stingley returned to 100% of snaps this week, goes off. Definitely someone you should be paying attention to. From the Broncos, Jaquan McMillan, kind of their slot corner, always just seems to be around the ball. Doesn't play all the snaps, but if he can add tackles to these splash plays, you're going to get really nice weeks out of him. Elijah Molden and Roger McCreary out of Tennessee, both playing a lot of snaps. This week didn't hit 100, just kind of the game script, but they are probably the two best corners from a alignment and put in a place to record IDP points. They're the two that you want out of Tennessee there. Safeties, we've got Quandre Diggs out of Seattle. He's more the free safety, but hey, Jamal Adams is going to be missing time again, then Diggs. And we've got Julian Love on here, both from Seattle, are guys you should be paying attention to and picking up. Two names I'm really excited about, both rookies, Jordan Battle from the Cincinnati Bengals, Jair Brown from the San Francisco 49ers. Battle seems to have displaced Nick Scott as the starter there. Probably going to be a little lumpy with his scoring just due to where he's going to play. Probably going to be more of that free safety, but going to be on the field a lot and should have opportunities there. Jair Brown stepping in for Talanoa Hufanga, who is out for the year. So absolutely need to pay attention to him. From the Raiders, we have Isaiah Pola-Mao. We think Marcus Epps could be missing time. So if you're really desperate and need a Marcus Epps handcuff, then Pola-Mao is your backup there for the Raiders. Von Bell for the Panthers is back playing 100% of snaps. So you definitely want him. He had been on IR for a little while there. So if people moved on from him, you definitely want to grab back Von Bell. Quentin Lake from the Rams, along with John Johnson, we may think have earned starter reps late in the year here. So definitely guys you want to pay attention to. Jonathan Owens in Green Bay seems to be the Darnell Savage replacement. We also have the rookie Anthony Johnson for the Rudy Ford replacement. We think Ford is going to be coming back soon, so Johnson might not need that much attention, but Owens we definitely think is going to be locked in as Savage remains on IR. Marquise Bell is the cheat code in Dallas. He's basically linebacker 2, possibly linebacker 1 with the snap share discrepancy. He actually outplayed Damone Clark in snaps this week. So after a horrid week last week against kind of the wonky game against the Giants, but Marquise Bell returned to 85% of the snaps this week. So definitely you're basically getting a linebacker playing safety there. So the cheat code continues. DeAndre Houston Carson in Houston will remain the Jimmy Ward replacement as however long Ward is out. Percy Butler in Washington just playing 100% of snaps. He is more of the free safety, but if you're desperate for a player who's on the field all the time, and when we have good safety fantasy matchups, Butler is a guy you could stream for sure. My guy Josh Metellus is going to be an every week recommendation for me because people still seem to be sleeping on him somewhat. He's kind of like a Marquise Bell. You're kind of getting a linebacker hybrid safety guy there, playing all over the field, playing close to, if not all of the snaps. So Metellus is another kind of cheat code almost there. And Kirby Joseph on the Lions is 100% snap player. Does play some free safety, so you're going to have lumpy production with him, but will be on the field a ton. We'll go to the defensive line here, who's usually a lot shorter. Yeah, we have much shorter list. KJ Henry in Washington, along with, let me sort these by team. Oh, I thought I did Hill too. Darn it. Because Hill is a linebacker on MFL, so he loses a ton of value on MFL. Yeah, that really sucks. But in other places where he's a defensive lineman, definitely Casey Hill as well. They seem to be the emerging ends in Washington there. But again, their scores from this week were a perfect storm of matchups. So don't count on these scores every week. But if you're super desperate for a matchup play, they will be good. In Arizona, you want to grab BJ Ojulari. We're going to hope that as Arizona keeps losing, they'll play these younger players even more. He is hovering around this 50% of snaps, definitely relying on sacks. So, he's not got much of a tackle floor for you, but if you're desperate for a Hail Mary sack play each week, you could definitely do worse than BJ Ojulari. Odafe Owe had been injured for a while, has been coming back and playing really well. His peripheral metrics are crazy high. PFF loves this guy. So if he can continue to get home and turn all those, peripheral stats into sacks and give us some more tackles, then he will be a great play going forward. Sam Williams and Mozzie Smith from Dallas. These are more dynasty, deeper stash additions. You're not probably plugging them into your starting lineup, especially not in redraft anytime soon, but guys you want to maybe stash for dynasty next year. Both are rookies this year. Baron Browning has come back from injury the past 2 out of 3 weeks. I believe he's had really nice scores, so you could do a lot worse than taking Hail Marys on him. Aleem McNeil, the defensive tackle in Detroit for your DT required leagues. He's playing the most snaps on the interior of that line, so if you're desperate, his tackle floor is almost 0, but he is getting sacks every now and then, so play him in plus matchups. Byron Young for the Rams, the defensive end. Make sure it's the Rams, not the Raiders one. He's playing 91% of snaps. I mean, he's got a ton of opportunity. Sometimes gives, he's not always going to give you the production, but when he pops, it's a really nice game. And then Tuipulotu is taking over for Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa hits IR, going to miss the remainder of the year. So a ton of opportunity for a guy that has already flashed plenty of times earlier in the season with Bosa and Khalil Mack both kind of standing in his way. So this should totally unleash him. He's probably my favorite of this list. And on to linebackers by team here. Between Chris Barnes and Josh Woods in Arizona, we lost Kaiser White to IR. Josh Woods should be stepping in as the LB1, and Chris Barnes is a total Hail Mary in really, really deep leagues. For Buffalo, Tyrell Dodson, we're going to monitor Terrell Bernard's injury. Hopefully it's not anything significant. And Dodson is basically the LB2 there already. So if you need, help in deeper leagues, he could be a Hail Mary. In Cleveland, both Sione Takitaki and Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah appear to be taking the reins from Anthony Walker. You're not super confident putting them in your starting lineups each week, but if you're totally desperate, one or both of them might be able to help you. Luke Masterson for the Raiders as Divine Diablo got injured. Definitely a Hail Mary. Ivan Pace, if he hasn't been picked up, he is the Jordan Hicks replacement, played 100% of snaps. He would be the number one of this list for sure if Ivan Pace is somehow still available in your leagues. Micah McFadden for the Giants just is always around the ball. So he had missed a game or two with injury, so maybe he got dropped. He doesn't play 100% of the snaps, but just always seems to give you a really nice game. So Elandon Roberts, similar to Ivan Pace, takes on a full-time role. So if he's somehow still available, he is a 100% snap player now going forward. And he's been playing really well even prior to obtaining this role. So Elandon Roberts for the Steelers, probably 1A and 1B with Ivan Pace here from this list. Michael Walker for the Steelers is kind of the LB2, but I'm not crazy about him. So unless you're really desperate, he's just kind of on here. He did play 84% of the snaps, so he'll, better days production-wise coming for him, but be very cautious throwing him into your starting lineup. We have Servassier Dennis from the Tampa Bay Bucks in case Levante David is going to miss time. He would be the replacement there. Monty Rice in Tennessee is creeping in to Jack Gibbons snaps. So, if you're Jack Gibbons, if you want to handcuff or possibly switching to Monty Rice, the Titans might be doing that. So we'll have to see going forward. So if you want to try to get ahead of the curve, grab Monty Rice. And then David Mayo in Washington is the LB2. Had an awesome game against the Giants on just 64% of the snaps. So just don't expect that production going forward. But he is the LB2 if you need an LB2. And there's Casey Tuo again on MFL. He loses a crap ton of value being a linebacker and not a defensive end. But hey, most other platforms he'll be available as defensive end. So, all right, Mike, we did it.
We did it. We made it.
All righty. So appreciate everyone again tuning in. We're kind of in the doldrums here, halfway point, heading into the fantasy playoffs. So for the people still alive and still watching and still listening, we definitely appreciate you. Mike, tell them everything you do here and elsewhere, and that amazing newsletter that you work on.
Yeah, it's a long list of everything I do elsewhere. So I'll just focus on the newsletter at least. Be sure to subscribe to the IDP Guys newsletter. Free to do so. Comes out every single Wednesday with all your IDP defensive news and everything you need to know, as well as a few analytical breakdowns of things going on. We got a nice Thanksgiving themed one this week, so be sure to tune in for that. Link to do so in both my Twitter description at Michael_Sicoli and also in the IDP Guys Twitter description as well.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for all the hard work you do there. And we really appreciate it. So I'm Steve Tomasin, aka Dynasty Santa. I'm your content manager over at the IDP Guys and your IDP Plus host here. 11 weeks strong plus the off season. I've really been having a ton of fun doing this. So hope to keep my ugly mug going here each week moving forward too. So appreciate everyone again. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. See you guys.
Thank you for watching this IDP Guys video. If you like this content and you want more fantasy football content, click here. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos to help you master your IDP league, click here to subscribe.